what's up, boxing fans? This is the Rope-A-Dope Report. I am your host, Chris Carlson, and I actually have a little segment for predictions and news today. Let's get right into the predictions, okay? It is Kermit Cintron versus Alfredo El Perro Angulo, the dog. It is for May 30th. It's going to be on the undercard of a... what they're saying, and it looks like it's going to get signed, and I'm going to have predictions for this fight soon too. Berto versus Urango. So that should be a good fight. This will be on the undercard. Let's get into this fight. Okay, let's talk about Berto, or Angulo. His last fight, he was obviously supposed to fight Mayorga, and he bailed out at the end. He's 15-0, I believe, 15 or 16-0. And he's a solid young fighter. He's built much like, or fights just like Margarito. I would say he keeps his hands a little tighter though, and he's got straighter punches, in my opinion, than Margarito. But it looks like he's got a chin. No matter what, he definitely is a very fan-friendly fighter. Fan-friendly fighter. Anyway, very friendly to the eye, appealing. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know if that made sense. But anyway, Angulo is very much a star to be, an HBO darling, much like James Kirkland and Victor Ortiz and Gamboa. And some of these guys, Areola, some of these young guys that they've been trying to promote on the Boxing After Darks and on undercards of major fights. Championship type level fights. So Angulo is definitely less experienced than Kermit Cintron. Now I want to talk about Cintron, okay? A couple years ago, he was a young up-and-comer guy coming from Puerto Rico, just a powerhouse. Huge puncher. He lost to Margarito twice and now has a draw, which really is a loss to Martinez at 154. By the way, Cintron usually fights at 147. This fight will be at 154. I don't know if his power carries up in weight. Here's my thing. In his last fight, the first 6 rounds, including what should have been a knockout, it was a knockdown, but it could have been a knockout very easily. He was getting beat to the punch and really just looking sloppy, uncoordinated out there, looking like he was just trying to land one big punch, kind of just sticking his jab out there, not really fighting that well. Then I'd say after like round 7 or 8, whenever that happened, about, I think it was 7th round when he was supposed to get knocked down or knocked out, but he didn't. They just call it knockdown, and they kept the fight going. And then they called it a draw, which I thought was a horrible decision. Cintron did come alive, I think, just for the fact that he's just happy to be in the fight at the time. He was complaining about a headbutt, but it was a punch. He's to me, a complainer. And to me, mentally, he's not there. I think he's all power. I mean, who has he beat that is solid? There's some, I shouldn't say solid. Who? Well, he hasn't beat an A-level fighter. Okay, now you could say Margarito. Okay, well, Margarito he lost to, got knocked out in the 5th and in the 6th. Both times he fought, got knocked out. But it could have been, Margarito. It could have been the 5th. Who knows? That's tough to say. But I have seen him against other people. I've seen him in a fight, I believe that was on ESPN. I think so. Anyway, he had hurt his hand. And you could tell he had hurt his hand in the fight. Okay, no big deal. But at the end, he looked like he got a shot, like someone was trying to assassinate him. He was on the ground and crying and pounding to me, the guy just seems soft mentally. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not judging his manhood. I think anyone that steps in the ring, for the most part, has balls. You know what I mean? But Cintron, to me, I don't know, man. He stays on the outside, but he has a good jab. He just doesn't land it. I don't think he can take a great punch. I think once he starts getting hit, I think he's the bully. Classic bully. He's the gooch. He comes forward, he likes to power out with you, and he'll, go nuts with average to solid fighters, B level, C level, maybe even B plus fighters. But once you hit A minus, right in that top level fighter, championship level fighter, he's just not that good. He's not that skilled. I think the skill may be there, but I think he just doesn't like getting hit. Once he starts getting hit, you can tell it bugs him, and his game plan goes out the window. His jab goes out the window. either he goes for the huge punch or doesn't try to punch. So I'm really down on him right now. This would be a big win and a big step to get him back on it. This is basically, I think, his last HBO fight. Let's talk about Angulo. So he's definitely got more experience just because he's been in the ring with some good, solid talent and A-level talent. So I'll give him that. And this is a great opportunity for him. So I think it'll be just a brawl fest. I think it'll be back and forth. I do think, though, Angulo, he just keeps coming. And patiently coming, too. He doesn't waste a bunch of going for crazy. He's very straight punches, and he's got good uppercut, and he's got pretty good hand speed. Like I said, he does get punched plenty, too, so it'll definitely be a fan-friendly fight. There I go with all the Fs. It'll be a fan-friendly fight, but I see Angulo, just because I've seen him hurt a couple times. I saw him in October. I actually was there in the second row when Gamboa was on the card and Martinez was on the card as well. He won his title that night. So I'm going to pick Angulo. If it's going to be a knockout, I believe it'll be late. I don't see Angulo knocking him out in the 6th round or 5th round like Margarito did. Unless, Cintron is just balls at the walls and comes out swinging and gets caught or something like that. But I feel like this will go the distance. Maybe Angulo on a TKO or possibly KO stoppage late, 10th, 11th, 12th round. If it's a 12-round fight or a 10-round fight, I'm not sure. They haven't really talked about it completely yet. But I see Angulo late, TKO or KO, but I'm probably going to go, if I had to put my money on it, I would go with decision. But I do think it'll be a really, really fun fight to watch. And watch out for the box score of this fight. In any big fight, I'm going to have a box score either that night, live right after the fight, or I'll be doing something that night and come home at 2 in the morning, watch it, and do a video. So no matter what, Saturday or Sunday, even some Friday night fights, I'll have it out Saturday or Sunday, that type of thing. But if there's a big Saturday night fight, odds are that night or Sunday morning I'll have it out. Anyway, let's get into the news now. Okay, Amir Khan, this is a big step for him. He is asking Frank Warren, his promoter over in England, to get Prescott back. Prescott is the guy that knocked him out about 6 months ago, last fall, in 54 seconds. Now, obviously, Khan coming off a solid victory, obviously, against Barrera. That's an old Barrera. It's a cut up here, huge cut up here, bleeding in his eye Barrera, so we don't totally know where Amir Khan is at this moment, but that's a big step, and I'm really glad he's doing this. It shows he's got heart, shows he's not afraid to get right back in there, and for being only 22, he's putting himself in the line of fire, and I really respect that. And I liked his defense and his stick and move and get out of there. I think that'll definitely bode well in the future, but that will definitely get him back on the map in the lightweight division if he can come back and beat Prescott. Anyway, let's move on. Floyd Money Mayweather is actually looking to return July 11th. Thomas Adamek and Bernard Hopkins might be fighting that day on HBO, on a free HBO fight. Right now there's negotiations going on. Floyd is trying to get a tune-up, possibly against Collazo, which I think would be a perfect tune-up. And I don't mean to call Collazo a tune-up. I just think on the level, I think it's more of a tune-up. But it'd be a great fight. I think it'd be a fun fight to watch and a perfect fight for him to come back to. Otherwise, he's just going to come right back in September, right around the Mexican Independence weekend. That's my guess, against Marquez or the winner of Pacquiao-Hatton, more than likely Pacquiao, or who knows, maybe Shane down the line. I see Shane next year, though. I don't see Shane this year. Anyway, what else do we got? We have, Vitaly Klitschko coming off his big win. Boring, but big win. He's actually calling out Areola. He wants to fight in LA. So if Areola gets over McCline, which is April 11th, I'll have a box score for that. He's actually fighting on the undercard of Winky Wright and Paul Williams. That's going to be a good card, too, coming April 11th. If he gets past that, Vitaly even said, I'll go to LA, where Areola has a huge fan base. So that would be an interesting fight. I don't think he's ready for it, but at least he's taking on McCline, a guy that's like 6'5" and 270, and a big, tall guy like that. I think this will be the tallest fighter that Areola goes against. So that could be an interesting fight. And then Roy Jones Jr., hey, I love you. You were my guy in the 90s. You were my guy in the 2000s, early 2000s anyway. You're still my guy, okay? But he wants to fight Lacey and then take on Carl Froch or Taylor, whoever wins. He just won against Omar Shika. He looked fast. Everybody's all pumped about how fast he looks. And of course he's going to look fast against Omar Shika. I just wish he would retire. I wish this Omar fight was like his get right fight and then retire. And if not, if you beat Lacey and then you lose to Jermaine Taylor or win to Jermaine Taylor or Carl Froch, whoever wins that fight in April 25th, whoever wins that fight, then just be done, Roy. So 2 more fights, please, Roy. Be done, okay? Anyway, this is the Rope a Dope Report. I am your host, Chris Carlson. Look out for the box scores coming up basically from here until Pacquiao-Hatton every weekend. Peace out.